Greetings, everyone. This is Rock and Roll Spot Connection with the final video of the weekly comic book roundup. Finally. And now we'll be focusing on this week's Empyre tie-ins and this week's DC books, starting with Captain Marvel number 19. Where we left off, Carol Danvers, Captain Marvel, had become the Supreme Accuser in the Kree-Skrull Alliance, and for the Kree-Skrull Empire. And she was sent on a mission by Emperor Doric VIII, former Hulkling of the Young Avengers, to investigate a massacre at the massacre of a sanctuary city of sorts, a city that was basically supposed to be a living embodiment of the peace of the spirit of peace between of the alliance. There's a soul, the Kree-Skrull troops have pinned down a single trooper there that they believe to be the culprit. Carolyn found the soldier. It's a Kree woman, and she turned the hammer on her and was able to ascertain what happened. Turns out this Kree woman, is Carol's half sister, born from basically the genetic material of Carol's mother, a Kree undercover operative, was used in breeding L'Oreal. And so, but according to the hammer, L'Oreal is innocent. And so Carol makes a decision, and maybe not the best one. So the issue begins with Carol talking to the Emperor Hall, explaining what's happened. And also going on to add that she took L'Oreal someplace safe. Carol's apartment with Chewie. And so L'Oreal goes to feed Chewie and opens one of the cans of cat food there, and, well, apparently it stinks. So she went to the fridge, and of course, Carol has nothing in her fridge, practically. I'm just like, okay, I've got more stuff in my fridge than Carol has in her fridge. So she says, okay, they'll go shopping for some food. Well, yeah, L'Oreal does kind of ruin on Carol's shirts. Nothing fits, but got some coins. Back on Marta N, Carol's arrived, explains that no, your suspect is not. No, I'm not bringing you back the suspect. When one of the soldiers contact the Emperor, Carol then adds that, hey, the Emperor gave me his blessing when I received the hammer, and that he trusts me with this mission. So, maybe you should reconsider that call. And there's another familiar face, though. Walter Lawson, formerly the villain known as Wastrel. Walter Lawson was a scientist whose identity was accidentally stolen by Mar-Vell when he first came to Earth. Apparently, he recently popped up attacking the Kree and was sentenced to 10 years of community service for plots against the Kree people. But, yeah, he's apparently working on the cleanup. And so he, wants to ask how So he asks how things are going with Carol, and it seems jovial enough. So things are going all right. So Carol uses the hammer, she's still unsure about just what's going on, what the deal is with it. She sees L'Oreal in the city smelling flowers. Back on Earth, L'Oreal and Chewie are going to get some food, and well, yeah, they manage to get, but she also wants to find a fish. And so Carol's reminded Carol does remind herself of the fact that she's not a detective, and she should have brought Jessica's, namely Jones and Drew. Now, apparently Wastrel's gone. And she does kind of think, wait a minute. I'm just going to walk out of community service, and you probably don't get issued a lab coat for it. So, she does ask, okay, what's going on with this? Gets, there was a human, and the other crew like, huh? I don't know who you're talking about. So, yeah. Carol figures she's definitely got a lead. Getting back on her ship, she learns that, yes, L'Oreal has left the apartment, so she heads back to Earth. L'Oreal's fighting off the Kotati, trying to rescue a young girl. Carol helps. Also, Chewie helps by eating one of the Kotati whole. Then Carol and L'Oreal have a little bit of a bonding moment. But Carol says she's going to go talk to Doctor Strange about the hammer because she says she wouldn't say it's controlling her. It is influence. There is influence, which is probably the best way she can describe it. And she thought maybe if she had people that she trusted. And the people she trusts being War Machine, Hazmat, and Spider-Woman. And also, Spider-Woman thinks that the Doc snakes have absolutely filthy mouths, whereas Hazmat thinks they're cool. The snakes are quite pleased with the fact that Hazmat likes them. So, Doctor Strange does some magic to the hammer and basically splits the power in four. Kind of it kind of feels reminiscent of the Origin of the Wrecking Crew, with the Wrecker basically saying, okay, yeah, I got this wrecking bar that lets me, it makes me powerful to take on Thor single-handedly. I'm gonna split the power between. However, I'm gonna split this power between you three dudes too. So, first off, once the three get their hammers, War Machine remarks that you can feel the power. Hazmat says, yeah, it doesn't suck. So, they go solve a mystery. That's where the issue ends. Which brings us to Captain Marvel number 20. I'm not going to go into where we left off because, well, we just went over. That was literally what happened, the last thing. So, L'Oreal's meeting the Carol Corps. And Lori actually asked, where Carol's daughter is. And, huh? But she explained, there's a picture on Carol's fridge of Carol with a little girl explaining, no, that's that's my friend Marina's daughter, Kit. Call her Captain Trouble because she's amazing, but also sometimes a bit of trouble. Also, she gives L'Oreal a communication device and basically says, emergencies only. And shopping is not in any way, shape, or form an emergency. And also, yes, yeah, we're at war with the Gotati, and normally I'd say you should totally be out there helping, but while I'm trying to clear your name, maybe you should stay inside and away from people, so that, yeah. So, but Mario is kind of hesitant about Carol taking the hammer because she's not sure she trusts it. And she asks if Carol senses anything from it. And she says, yeah, when she picks it up. And L'Oreal says, have you, or Carol asks if L'Oreal has ever picked it up. And she hasn't. And then Carol asks if L'Oreal should. And she says, no. And as Carol walks away, L'Oreal whispers that she can hear the hammer sing. And so, they head out into space. Carol contacts Hulklings and kind of says, hey, look, you and I, we need to talk privately, okay? You and me, not a full-blown audience, just you and me on my ship, okay? All right, okay. So she arrives. Suffice to say, Hulkling is shocked, to say the least, at the Carol Corps. But she explains what's up, and it's like, okay, all right, we'll figure this out. So they get back to Marta N and are promptly attacked by a couple of the other Kree Sentry and some other robots. And it's basically kind of okay, yeah, it's definitely Lawson. The Carol Corps basically wades right through the robots with little to no trouble until Wassel himself shows up in what he's made, which is a tentacled robot. Honestly, it looks like something Doc Ock would make as a vehicle. Or, no, let me rephrase it. It looks like something a toy company would make for a Doc Ock vehicle. So, War Machine, Spider-Woman, and Hazmat go to help Carol, and they do. The four of them basically, use the hammer to see the truth, and yeah, he destroyed the city. And framed L'Oreal for it. So, they bring Lawson aboard the ship. Back in New York, L'Oreal's watching TV with Chewie. She's watching The Bachelorette and just wondering, why are they fawning over this Chad? He's a low character, and he should not be gifted with a wife. He should be dragged to the streets and pelted with spoiled meats. There's a knock at the door, however. It's Carol's friend Marina. Kit's been taken. And so, L'Oreal comes out and basically, hey, Kit's been taken by the plant things. And Marina wants to know if L'Oreal can help her. And so L'Oreal does ask if this qualifies as an emergency. And he's like, yes. Like, okay. Well, in Brooklyn, there's quite the Gotati infestation, and L'Oreal sees just like, Carol, yeah, it's your sister. Are you there? I have an emergency, and I need assistance. Captain Marvel assemble. And I'm just going to say this entire arc is the exact comic relief that the story of Empyre needs. Which brings us to Empyre X-Men #4. Where we left off, Scarlet Witch attempted to resurrect the 16 million dead mutants on Genosha. Kind of as a way to try to make amends for decimation. It went horribly wrong. They came back as zombies. Yeah. About a month later, the Guidebook arrive and decide to use Genosha as a staging area for the invasion of Wakanda. Well, suffice to say, things go from bad to worse. The X-Men show up. Some of the X-Men show up. Horde culture shows up. Not to mention, the Guidebook are also fighting the mutant zombies. And some of the zombies are actually kind of looking at the X-Men thinking, hey, you guys look tasty. Though there are quite a few who are vegetarians who are like, these guys, the plant guys look tasty. Don't worry, you're good. We're not going to eat you. The other guys might, but but those who are vegetarians, we're not. And yeah, the scepter that that Wanda used to try to bring back the dead has been picked up by Magic, who's gone full Demon Queen. Oh yeah, there's a giant plant monster too. And one of the members of Horde culture is on Genosha, or is on Krakoa now with Beast, working on a means to stop the Kotati. So we start off with the issue begins with the aftermath of of Wanda's ritual, seeing the zombies freaking out and going away. So she goes to Doctor Strange, tells him what she did. He pours himself a few shots, slams down each one, as everything is explained to him. So yeah, it turns out that Wong's in town briefly, or for the day, and they're supposed to go. And him and Strange are supposed to go to dinner together. But, well, Steven has pressing matters now, and so he's gonna have to cancel. Though Wong, it's made pretty clear Wong's gonna go to dinner himself. So basically, they managed to recreate it. They managed to recreate the scepter. They go to Genosha, and they use the new scepter. And he explains that, yeah, okay, nothing changed. But Wanda remarks nothing changed. And it's kind of like, well, you can't unring a bell. And so Strange explains that he's made it so that her initial spell, which is enabled by the artifact she made, will dissipate when the staff does. And it'll probably take about 30 days. So in 30 days, it'll all be undone. She asks, what if someone comes here during that time? And so Strange says, hey, cross your fingers, say a little prayer, and hope that doesn't happen. Yeah, it turns out it's 29 days later. So the giant plant monster's rampaging. Demon Queen Magic is like, okay, I'm going to vanquish this beast. Watch. The assembled psychics are... Quentin Quire of the assembled psychic space is pretty big. And Exploding Boy is also, enjoying it. I think it's a piece of a Madrox. Everyone's like, yeah, we should run. The Angel's like, no, we stay and finish this. And Nightcrawler with his super soaker of new pesticides is like, if it weren't easy, everyone would do it. And so we then cut to Krakoa, where Beast is having a conversation with himself. That's right, everyone. Hank McCoy talks to himself. Using differing names. One voice in his head he refers as Dr. McCoy. With the other he refers as Henry. Yes, it gets like that way. But he steals some of Horde Culture's tech and takes a look at it, and to figure out how it is they've been able to manipulate the gates and use them. And then a young mutant comes through the gate into the lab with a jetpack. Apparently, it's Explodey Boy. Resurrected on Krakoa. So on Genosha, Explodey Boy is sent off and finds himself. And so, Explodey Boy and Zombie Explodey Boy actually have a really nice conversation. They got to have their first kiss. Explodey Boy got to have his first kiss, and it was in fact with one of the others from Genosha that he had a crush on before the Sentinels attacked. So, but yeah, they have a nice little chat. It's actually really cool. I mean, it's one of those things where it really helps that the zombie mutants still have their intelligence. These aren't your run-of-the-mill flesh-eating zombies. These are intelligent flesh-eating zombies who can actually carry on a conversation. And it also turns out that Explodey Boys want, as happens with many young mutants when their powers manifest, there was a falling out with the parentals, and well, now apparently Explodey Boy's talking to his parents again. It helps that the Krakoan medicines took care of his dad's arthritis, so But yeah, they're so they're talking, and Zombie Explodey Boy just like so everything turns out all right, and the living Explodey Boy says feels that way. So the zombie's like, so what about me? And he said, Explodey Boy kind of says, this is definitely going to end, but you don't have to do anything. You just hang out, watch these idiots beat the hell out of each other. But the zombie version says, I'm not going out like that. Give me the jetpack. And the zombie thanks the living Explodey Boy and flies into the giant plant launcher's mouth and explodes, covering everyone in gunk. One of the cuckoos remarks that the Katati are dying. Must have been linked to the giant plant monster, and after it was destroyed. But Demon Queen Eliana corrects the cuckoo by saying, not destroyed, vanquished. Leaving only her as the paramount power on this island. Though Angel's quick to point out she should probably drop the scepter, but well, Demon Queen magic is like, yeah, silence, shut up. I had dominion here now. On this world, on all infernal realms, I see fit to claim all that I see is mine. Understand I am mistress here, and you are my slaves. She points at Exodus. You are my slave, and then Sinister, and then Quentin Quire, and you, and you. Then she looks at, then turns to Nightcrawler, and you dashing blue demon boy, you will serve me most of all, for I find your appearance to be. We also find out at this point it is now 23 hours, 59 minutes, 59 seconds since the spell was cast. Then it becomes officially 30 days, and, well, yeah, the scepter vanishes, Ileana's back to normal, and kind of, like, woof, had a little moment there. And when Beast remarks that it's got to be embarrassing, Ileana looks at him and says, I regret nothing. And so Horde Culture makes a run for it, and this is something that they get a pass. Though Hank does admit that, he stole their tech. So let's just take the win. And so, the X-Men head home. Beforehand, Exploding Boy manages to retrieve his jetpack. And we end with this somber narration. Starting with a picture of the remains of Genosha. These are the ruins of what could have been. That we have become something more doesn't erase that it came at a price. There will always be a price. We see Exploding Boy finding the jetpack. Cut to Horde Culture working in a lab. We know now there's no way to avoid it. This is simply our story, over and over again. Then Beast looking at the tech he stole from Horde Culture. It ends how it ends. It's done, then you get on with it, and keep on living. And finally, we cut to Wanda in a study, crying as she reads a book. Unless, of course, you can't live with it. Unless, of course, you won't. And that is where the issue, as well as this miniseries, ends. Which brings us to our next book of the week. Lords of Empyre. Swordsman. So, for those who may have forgotten, since he wasn't mentioned in any of the other tie-ins, Swordsman. The Kotati known as Swordsman is a combination of a Kotati and the body of Jacques Duquesne, Swordsman, who was one of the people who trained Hawkeye, I should add. He's also the father of Sequoia, or Koi, the Celestial Messiah. And so, Koi's going through the Conclave, which Swordsman is prevented from being part of because he's too human. And apparently, turns out, so Swordsman gave his sword. Well, Kotati Swordsman gave Swordsman's blade to Hawkeye, and so they're going to take it back and return it to Swordsman's grave. They've got they have a plant-based Quinjet, and they slip into a Stark Tower. Apparently, this was back during Hickman's run on Avengers, judging by both Cap's outfit and Iron Man's outfit, and they took the sword. In the Temple of Priests of Palma in Vietnam, there's a sudden growth. Alchemax hears about this and sends in people to look into it. Meanwhile, Koi and Swordsman are making their way through the jungle. And they arrive at the temple and find that humans are trying to take it. And so they get into a bit of a scuffle with the Alchemax people there. Koi gets shot, and Swordsman nearly kills the man who shot him. And manages to let convince Swordsman to let the shooter go. Then makes a vine, gives it to one of the people, and is like, "Hey, look, here's this, study it as you will." So Swordsman and Koi explore the ruins, and the Swordsman bonds, finds the tree he came from, and but yeah, Koi's not too happy about it. Even when Swordsman offered the sword, his blade to him. But so Swordsman melds with the tree, and eventually Koi leaves. Well, it turns out that the Alchemists are not too happy with the fact that all that they got was that one bit. They want the whole thing. And so it's being cut through. The trees are being cut through, including the tree that Swordsman is a part of. He pulls himself back together, goes after them. Koi is still there. Takes on the troops. Brutally this time. And so, after seeing what he's done, Swordsman snaps the sword, and him and Koi head back to the Kotati homeworld. And Koi grows a sword. Koi has grown a sword for his father. But he knows that they'll be needing more. Lots more. So this time when he goes into Conclave, however, he insists his father come with him. Telling the Conclave that they will honor Swordsman as they honor Koi. And in the Conclave, Koi says to Swordsman that he was right about everything. And he says, as the issue ends, he says, "Let me be your sword." And the last thing in the issue is a quote from Don Quixote. And turning to Sancho, he said, "Forgive me, my friend, for the opportunity I gave you to seem as mad as I, making you fall into the error into which I fell, thinking there were and are knights errant in the world." And that is where the issue ends. Which brings us to our DC books of the week, starting with the Death Metal Guidebook. So this is just a collection of short stories about what's going on in death metal. I'm glad it's actually stories so I can cover it. We have The Fall of Earth, Harley Quinn and Queen of the Desert, Aquaman and the Umibosu, Wonder Woman in Seas of Hope, and Batman in Dragonlance. Ooh. Should be also to be noted, the Batman story, drawn by Eduardo Riso from 100 Bullets. So we'll begin with The Fall of Earth. It's narrated by Lex Luthor. I want you to close your mind and imagine the world as you know it. Imagine for a moment how it felt when you looked up at the bright sky, when you walked down a familiar alley, when you dreamed of a future fast approaching, and then looked up at the stars and thought, "I will make it so." I want you to hold those memories in your mind, the ones that make you feel safe, make you feel at home, because those memories are all that remains of the world that was. It's strange to think how much has changed in only a few short months, though the comforts of home are now confined to dreams. Who could have expected how quickly our world would descend into this horror? Who else but me? You see, it was an ordinary day at first, no different than any other. Billions of people going about their lives with their mundane concerns, health, heartache, taxes. They scarcely noticed when the skies darkened and the storms began. Our world has always been an extraordinary one. Often it's easier to keep your head down in the face of a seeming apocalypse. After all, their heroes would surely save the day, wouldn't they? They had so many times before. Of course, what they didn't know was that their greatest heroes were missing. That the Justice League was in the midst of battling a cosmic goddess, the mother of the multiverse, Perpetua, and they were losing. And that is why no one was prepared when the sky opened up and became dark with Batmen. They swarmed our world, brought here from the dark multiverse, the physical manifestations of the real Batman's deepest fears. Each of their twisted minds mirrored the intellect and drive of our world's Batman, with none of his moral fiber. They systematically lured these heroes into traps and eliminated them. The West Coast fell first with the destruction of Captain Atom. Courtesy of Dr. Arkham, the maddest scientist Batman Who Laughs had found among his doubles in the depths of the dark multiverse. The Bat-Mage was the next to strike. He decided to darken the doorstep of paradise itself, the Vescira, home of the Amazons. Having watched America fall to the Batman, the greatest heroes in all of magic banded together with the Amazons to stop him. With only a gesture, the Bat-Mage ripped through the walls separating our world from the darkest depths of imagination. He unleashed all of hell on the heroes of magic, and in time, they too fell. The Teen Titans and Titans gathered to head off the apocalyptic Batman known as Darkfather, who, in his reality, had taken down Darkseid and become the Lord of Anti-Life. The Suicide Squad took to the oceans to try and stop the unspeakable creature known as Baphomet, a chthonic elder beast which, on its own dark earth, had been freed when Batman was drilling for resources in the deepest oceanic caves. Little did they know that something strange was underway in Gotham City. A living city with the mind of Batman was growing into a horrifying castle, and the city stretched and changed in its wake. And that is when the Justice League returned to a world already in the world of terror. They wore failure on their faces. Wonder Woman had used great strength to face Perpetua, but fell short in the battle. The others demanded to know what she had seen, yet all she remembered was fear. Fear and then a blast of energy. There was no time to litigate the past. The present was falling apart. They decided to split up, each to face the chaos from each of their own home fronts. That was their fatal mistake, and exactly what the Batman had planned for. They started picking off these great heroes in a matter of hours. There were leagues of Batman chosen for each of them, each Batman ready to take them down if given the chance. Batman who had studied for lifetimes specifically to defeat their counterparts. Before nightfall, 3 Leaguers were already defeated. Martian Manhunter, John Stewart, and Hawkgirl. Martian Manhunter seemingly taken down by a Dark Knight who seems to be a combination of Batman and Firefly. John Stewart by a Sinestro Corps ring-wielding Batman. Hawkgirl by a winged Batman with actual bat wings and melee weapons. And the Batman of our world had put together what was already obvious. They were losing this battle. Their only hope would be to fight it together. They said there were more than 20 Batman of the Dark Multiverse on his tail when the Batman from our world finally made the call to retreat from Gotham. They said the sonic booms shattered the windows in a dozen cities between the Midwest and East Coast as his escape drew closer. It was over in a matter of seconds. Gotham was ceded to the enemy once and for all. The Flash and Batman called for help. They sought to rally the forces together to make a final stand. But they didn't realize that the final battle was already underway. The fall of Superman at the hands of the Darkfather was the last gasp of open rebellion. A devastating blow to the morale of everyone still resisting on Earth. The battle between Perpetua and Wonder Woman had burned out the sun, but the Batman Who Laughs had a plan for that. He would harness the power of Superman to fuel the sun, a deadly reminder of the cost of hope under his cruel regime. After the fall of Superman, Aquaman surrendered when he realized that Baphomet would kill all of Atlantis if he did not kneel. Wonder Woman did the same to save her sisters, the Amazons. All told, it took about a week for the world to fall under the control of the Batman Who Laughs. He took the throne of his new world, and with the power of the Dark Multiverse and Perpetua at his beck and call, he changed the very fabric of reality. Continents twisted and rearranged by his dark design, remaking our world in his dark image. Humanity was rounded up, and those who had sided with Perpetua and evil were turned into her monstrous army. Those who chose their fallen heroes, they were placed on a crisis antenna that would fuel Perpetua as she destroyed universe after universe. All surviving heroes were hunted down and imprisoned inside New Apocalypse. Their only escape would send them hurtling into the heart of the new artificial sun powered by Superman. The villains were not spared any horror. They were cast down into the depths of a new hell built from the ashes of the Themyscira with Wonder Woman as their warden. This is what is left of Earth. A nightmare. See it for what it has become. See what my actions have made it. And as Lex says this, some of the dark nights come upon him. And he vanishes. He then appears to Lobo and hires him to find the shards of death metal, the last pieces of death metal. Lobo doing so should give Luthor enough time to gather his own forces. Basically, put his legion back together. Which brings us to Harley Quinn and Metal Queen of the Desert. So, in the Arkham Wastelands, Harley's looking for the Suicide Squad. The tracker she's got found something. It's Little Hyena. And she explains to the little one that she'd take it with her, but it's a humanitarian thing, not a scrawny puppeteering thing. Then, mutants arrive. These being mutants on par with the ones looking strikingly similar to the ones from The Dark Knight Returns. Harley takes them on, explaining that she ain't dying in the desert being ganged up on by mutants. She's dying in a champagne-filled bathtub sprinkled with the ashes of her enemies, while Ivy tells her what happened on Tiger King. We get a quick note that this story takes place when people liked Tiger King. Because Ivy knows that Harley can't watch it because it's triggering. But she still likes to hear what happened on it. And Boomerang shows up. Crazy Swole. And so she decides it's time for her to level up and unzips the sleeve of her suit. But yeah, it realizes, it's the radiation. And that's, no, that's not her thing. So Boomerang attacks her, and it's kind of... And Harley realizes that losing it is part of the whole looking really cool deal. And as Boomerang charges her, the hyena has also shows it to have also mutated and eats Boomerang. And Harley decides that it's majestic, and that she's going to name her new hyena George as they ride off. Which brings us to our next story, the Umibotsu. In the Seven Seas, Aquaman has found the Umibotsu. So rare a creature even monsters thought it a myth. And there it is. It's sea life, so it must obey him. Turns out there's a curse upon it, and so... But Aquaman runs into Baphomet. The two of them fight it out. And Baphomet basically says that gives Aquaman a choice. Destroy the cursed soul linked to the Umibotsu, or Baphomet will boil the seas and the life within. And so, Aquaman ends the curse. The Umibotsu dies. As it does, there's a memory, or an echo, words told to him long ago. I pass like night from land to land, I have strange power of speech. That moment that his face I see, I know the man that must hear me. To him my tale I teach. He went like one that hath been stunned, and is of sense forlorn, and a sadder and a wiser man he rose from the morrow morn. honestly, kind of, in some ways, it kind of reminds me of Rhyme of the Ancient Mariner. Admittedly, more the maiden song than the actual poem, but you know, that's my lack of culture. Which brings us to, what was this one called? Seeds of Hope. In Hell, Poison Ivy reaches out and asks for some, and gets some green to grow to her. She manages to escape her cell and make her way out. However, she's promptly, Wonder Woman tries to stop her. Though it's explained that, well, the captives might not understand. Being kept there is not a punishment. They're better off in the dark. But Ivy does manage to get away, and she gets outside and sees that the Batman Who Laughs remade the world in his image. Arid, empty, brutal, and burning. And Wonder Woman comes upon Ivy and comforts her, takes her back to her cell. And later on, Diana comes to her explaining that she knows the devastation in Ivy's heart, and she's truly sorry. As irreparable as things seem, they have found small grains of hope, and they will take back their world. Ivy asks how Diana knows this, and she says that she seals her vow with a small bit of green in need of a loving caretaker. And it blooms. Finally, we come to Dragonlance. Batman's recruiting Jonah Hex and also an army of dead heroes with his Black Lantern ring, and they're fighting the Joker Dragon or a Joker Dragon, similar to the one seen in Dark Knight's Metal. Basically, Batman is trying to convince Jonah Hex to side with him. They take down the dragon while discussing their various philosophies. They bring it down. And they do take some. As is the case with the heritage Hex was raised in, though. The traditions he was raised in, Apache traditions. He himself is not Apache, but he was raised as such. They honor the animal for the gift of its life. And that is where the issue ends, with Batman and Jonah Hex riding off. We also learn that the Black Lantern ring that Batman wears, the more he uses it, the more it owns Batman. And that is where the issue ends. Quite the issue, if I do say so myself. I'm very much enjoying Death Metal thus far and its tie-ins. Brings us to our final book of the week, Wonder Woman, Dead Earth, Book 4. Where we left off, Wonder Woman had learned the most depressing of truths. Not only were the monsters attacking humanity doing so, were mutated versions of her sisters, the Amazons. But in a fit of rage, she murdered Superman. And the last book ended with Diana taking her lasso, stringing it through Superman's spine and into his skull, and making a mace of it. We begin in the past. Batman at the fortress. Superman robot explains there are tools and ways they can, but Batman explains that it's too late for him. The radiation will make him useless in a few days. And unlike a god, he won't recover, but he's leaving something with Superman robot. Explaining that someone worthy will come, someone human. And Batman takes Diana and says that he's going to take her somewhere where she can heal. So he places her in the stasis chamber. Explains to her that he wishes he could end her for what she's done, but he has to do the opposite. She may have broken the world, but Batman knows she's the only one who can fix it. And so Batman then goes out in the ruins of Wayne Manor, pours himself a drink, sits down, and laughs. At the human encampment, they're getting ready for a pending attack. They've got weapons. They arm up. At the fortress, Dee, Cheetah, Superman Robot, and Wonder Woman all head out, ready to stop Hippolyta. And Dee has the box that Batman gave the Superman robot. So the Hydra are starting the show, and the human encampment opens fire. Arrows, bullets, rockets, any weapon they could get their hands on. Doesn't seem to do too much good. They're doing some damage, but not anywhere near enough, and they're taking casualties. Until Wonder Woman arrives, and oh yeah, the skeletal mace of doom does the trick a few times over, that's for sure. The battle rages on. Cheetah doing her part as well. The Superman robot also getting involved. Only to be chomped in half, or only to be chomped on by one of the Hydra. Diana goes after her mother, but is stopped by Nubia, and but Nubia can't kill her. And so the survivors rally together for Diana. And we see when Superman Robot gave Dee the box, explaining that, a long time ago an old friend placed Diana in a special chamber. It was designed specifically to heal her and bring her back to full strength. But that strength is dormant. It must be activated with this. Dee asked why not. Why does the robot give it to Diana herself? Why give it to her? And so it was mandated that the choice to restore Wonder Woman must live with the wrong party. So Dee opens the box after having been slightly injured by one of the Hydra, pulls out a massive syringe, sticks Diana in the gut with it, and now she has her powers back. But she thanks Dee, but Dee says not to thank her. She didn't have a choice. And so Diana tries to get Hippolyta to stop once again, but Hippolyta refuses. The battle rages on. And even Cheetah realizes that Wonder Woman is actually unstoppable right now. She takes down Nubia. She just tearfully takes down her sisters. Hippolyta sinks back into the sea, leaving a burning battlefield of bodies, which are then buried. Wonder Woman burying the Amazons, while though some of the humans do help. A mass graveyard is, and then Askira. They go down to the lower depths, and Diana's looking for her mother, but she delivers no one there. And Diana says, you know, she'll find her mother someday and heal her. Dee's recovering from her wounds, and Diana's sitting there with her, and they talk for a bit. She apologizes for not being able to save Tall, and also for, well, everything. Apparently, Diana's found one of her gauntlets. She doesn't know where the other one is, but she wants to find it, and if she does, she'll put it on. Though it's explained it doesn't even work. If it's just one, it doesn't work at all. And Dee explains that she wants to have faith that Diana's not just going to let them down again. And that Wonder Woman means them well. And wants to know if Diana can help her unbelief. Diana explains that she wishes she could, but Dee's faith in her is one of the many things that Diana has no control over. She can't promise that she won't let them down. The past has proven how little she truly knows and how much she still has to learn. She'll make mistakes, she has before and will again. But she promises to try. Try and fix this decaying world. Go out and find more people who need them and bring them to Themyscira. And then Diana asks Dee to join her. And help her revive this dead Earth. And that is where the book and the series come to its end. Yeah, this one got me good in the feels. But anyway, that's it for now. As always, feel free to like, share, and subscribe. Links to my Facebook, Twitter, Patreon, and PayPal can be found in the description box down below. This is Rock and Roll Spock signing off, saying live long and rock hard.